We are back and recording a new episode. Sadly, no Vlad today, but I am very excited with our guest today. We have two very special guests, and I know Vlad is. I know he's not regretting missing out today, but it's going to be a really cool episode. And this is Packet Party Nerds Take on Humanity, Women in IT. I have here with me Hannah Carr and Maggie Wybird.
Maggie Wybird, there we go. Yes. Rebrand.
Rebrand, yes. People should know about that. So, welcome. Thank you very much for your time and agreeing to do this. As I told you before, we were planning on doing this for 6 months now. We just couldn't work up the guts to ask you guys, but I'm kidding.
We don't fight.
But yeah, how are you guys doing? What's new?
Yeah, good for this hump day.
Yeah.
Bloody cold and brizzy right now.
It is. It's finally dropped. The temperature has dropped.
Yes.
And I'm honestly quite happy about it.
Yeah. I'm still wearing a shirt.
I know. The weather does not affect you, Freddie.
Except in Bali. I feel like it affects you in Bali.
It did. You know, there's a reason why I left the tropics.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
yes.
100%.
Been there, done that.
Anyway, so look, if just for the benefit of our listeners, Hannah and Maggie, you each take turns on whenever you feel like it, but please tell us a bit about yourselves. And as the topic is about women in IT, how did you find yourselves in this industry, this wonderful industry?
Yeah. The great thing about, I think, both of our stories is that they're so different, but so the same at the same time. It's really cool. So me, hey, it's Maggie. I worked at Apple for 8.5 years from when I was very young. I've been 24 for a long time, as I tell all my friends. Worked at Apple for 8.5 years. It was a great job through uni, it allowed me to travel overseas, and I really thought that I would go and go up the ranks at Apple, that I would go and work with Tim Cook and all that kind of fun stuff. Not here to be mediocre, I'm here to be the best that I can. And it was really like a coinkydink that I met one of the people we work with now at one of my best friend's family dinners for his birthday. And from that started, hey, you should do this program. And then from that program, my whole trajectory of wanting to follow Apple changed. It actually just stopped right there. I knew that I wanted to get involved in technology, that I wanted to work at Cisco, which is where I work now. That dinner changed my whole life. And from there, it's just been since, 2018, trying to get into Cisco and wait for a role to become available. I went to uni, got some degrees, all that kind of fun stuff. But for me, it's just meeting the right person at the right time who was like, hey, you would be really good at this. Have you considered it? And my whole life changed, and now I've been with Cisco for 5 years, and I don't see myself leaving anytime soon.
It's a whole thing, isn't it? Like I totally related hard to that bit when you said, I was looking to, you were looking forward to be able to work with Tim Cook.
Yeah.
Not Steve Jobs then. But
but yeah.
Right? So in the same way, when I was in uni, I was going, Cisco's probably the end all be all of my goal. And it was still John Chambers then. But I'm having really having a lot of fun. But no, that's a really cool story. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah. And then, I love Han's story though.
Mine's a little similar, a little different. But I came from retail or hospitality and a retail background, and worked as a floor supervisor and manager, and I loved that sort of people person element of it.
Yeah.
I did a bit of graphic design studies, which was very, very fun, but at the time I just didn't love studying. It just wasn't for me. I liked getting out there and getting my hands dirty. So then I got into retail. Was a makeup artist actually for about 5 years, which I loved. Again, getting my hands dirty, love being creative.
You can exchange tips with my Cal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Cal loves her fashion and her makeups, and I feel like we do relate about that.
Cal's my wife, by the way. So
yes, Cal is the wife. We love her, and she has great sense in fashion in her handbags as well.
Oh yes, we love that. Yeah, Freddie buy more handbags.
She buys her handbags. I don't.
There we go.
Yeah, she's a self-sufficient queen.
She is.
So did a lot of time in retail. retail, but I guess that was always sales. So the companies that I worked for when I was in retail were it was very target and quota orientated. So I think I got a lot of experience doing that, and I loved a competition. Like I've always had a little bit of that sort of competitive drive.
Yeah.
Anyway, got into another role. I was sort of similar to Maggie. I felt like wherever I would be, I was going to work my way up. And at the company I found myself at, I kind of hit a bit of a glass ceiling. It was a very female-dominated space, which was fantastic. But what that meant was there was limited leadership positions, and one would only really open up if someone left the business or went on maternity leave.
Yeah.
So wasn't a lot of progression when you kind of got to that managerial level. So I looked for roles elsewhere, and I actually found a sales associate role at a LinkedIn marketing company. And that was fantastic. I walked in the door. It was a relatively small business. They were global, and we worked with a lot of virtual assistants in the Philippines, which was really fun.
Yeah.
But I found myself wearing many hats, and I loved it. I was doing sales. I was helping with some of their marketing material, even just creating new ideas on how to go to market. So I really enjoyed all of that stuff. And then when I started doing the sales there, I spoke with my dad, and my dad's a very technical engineering man who I'm very lucky to work with currently in my role, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But he suggested that I meet one of the sales directors at Cisco.
Yeah.
Just for a mentorship, really, and just to sort of see what else was out there, because I was loving the sales role so much. So I met Terry, and then had a great time with him, and he was like, look, I think you've got a great attitude, got great energy. Anyway, he kept me, I think, on his little contact list of potential people to reach out to eventually. And I was really fortunate that a role did actually come up in the Queensland sales team, and I had a very intensive interview process. It was not easy. I had about seven interviews, and then maybe 2 other unofficial kind of meeting points with some fantastic people here. I got the job, and it was literally like being thrown completely into the deep end. Like I knew how to sell a mascara, but now I'm talking about selling access points. So it was a very steep learning curve for me, but I think in hindsight, it was what I needed to level up to where I feel like I'm going. Like I needed that push, I needed that deep end, because I needed to prove to myself that I was capable of so much more than where I was at. So that's how I got into this fantastic industry.
I was going to say, for somebody who didn't enjoy studying that much, you're doing pretty good. You're doing great. You're fantastic coming in here. And I can attest to the energy that Hannah brings to the room and to the business. It's really something amazing. But tell me something. It almost feels like, we're all coming from these all different sorts of backgrounds and experiences. And do you feel that played a crucial part into landing the gig that you guys are doing now?
Yeah, definitely. I believe if you hire the same people, you're going to get the same results.
Correct.
Train the same, remain the same kind of thing. So if you want results that you've never had before, you've got to do things that you've never done before. And our state director has done that with the talent he's hired, which has been the right person for the right role. It's all figuring out how to get the best out of people, and he does that really well.
I love that.
100%. And also I think the diversity of the backgrounds and the way that we kind of found our way into the business, obviously it is about who you know to a degree, but I think having, for me, it was all about that managing of people. From when I was 18 and I worked in a really popular Queensland pub, I dealt with different people on every single day. There was a different human being that I had to interact with. So I feel like now in my role, I'm not afraid of walking into a room where I'm not sure on how I'll be received or what the people will be like, because I've done it all before. I feel like I've seen it all before, and I feel like that really helped with my confidence in coming to this role, because I was like, oh well, this can't be worse than serving a whole heap of drunk people, right?
I was going to say that, because no room you walk in now is probably going to be worse than dealing with a bunch of piss drunk.
Correct.
Yeah, fair.
And I feel like even a lot of what we do, and I guess what we're here to talk about today, is about that diversity, potentially, in a business like this that has maybe been the same for a while. And I feel like seeing our success by being a little bit different, or by coming from a little bit more of a different pathway into the business, is kind of like the precipice, the whole thing, our whole shtick, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to have this whole entire resume built out like this to get a role here. Like it is about different experiences, because we all bring such a different perspective to an industry that is,
Correct. And feel free to stop me on this one, but you mentioned your dad being, I know who your dad is, and he's a bit of a legend around these parts. And is that something that, you know, I don't think it's inappropriate, but sometimes people are a bit touchy about bringing that connection, that relationship.
I was very, 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 very firm when I first began my role that I didn't want it to be known.
Yeah.
Not for any other reason, that I really did not want anyone to think that I got this role because of
Absolutely.
my connection to someone who worked here. Like, I was like, I've got to earn this on my own, which I know that I did.
And you have, yes.
And I feel like I've proved myself more than enough to now feel comfortable, and I actually love it, you know, like he is a legend, and my dad is the most technically minded human being that I've ever met, and hearing him speak, you know, when we have these meetings and hearing his knowledge, and now that I actually understand a bit more about what he's talking about, I'm like, wow, this guy is super impressive, and now I'm proud of that. So I think now that I've earned my stripes, I'm like, okay, cool, this is my dad, and everyone I think is lied about it, you know, like it's nice, I'll keep it in the family.
Absolutely.
But I did it for the first couple of months and the first couple of years. I was very, I would just say hyper aware of it.
Yeah.
And even now when people say, oh wait, I didn't even know there was a connection, I'm almost like, that is because I intended it like, to be like that.
Because it's almost unfair to tie that back to you. But then again, somebody of his caliber, and like sometimes I talk to my daughter at home and she just sees me as dad. And she has a faint idea of what I do, but the extent of it, like you said, it's become a realization when you're actually playing in that field.
Oh yeah, respect. Like it goes, and knowing what he's done and how much value he's added to the teams that now I'm lucky enough to be a part of is crazy.
Yeah.
But I also feel like his brain and my brain is completely different. Like I'm not as technical as he
That's
is,
fine too.
But he's also not a salesperson. So I think it's nice we've almost got that, what's that, the yin and yang a little bit, because I'm so polar opposite to him, but I can respect him so much now, more now than...
Now, I can't expect us engineers to be good salespeople. We're very grumpy.
Hey, you work hard. You work hard.
But Mags, tell me about it. Working in tech involves a lot of technology, studying, knowing what the technology is about. Aside from what we're talking about, people relationship, talking to people, dealing with different kinds of people, wink, wink, what other non-technical parts of the job do you enjoy?
I genuinely getting to know the people in front of me. That's a really, really big thing for me. I believe that if I have a customer who sees me as Maggie, the Cisco salesperson, I think I failed in my role. I want them to be like, oh, Maggie has 3 dogs. Maggie is married. Maggie has this. Maggie has that. They see me as, I guess, a friend and also a trusted advisor. And whenever I call them, it's not to be like, oh, hey, where's this for me? Or what do you need from me? It's more, oh, hey, you had a baby a couple of weeks ago. How's that going? Have you taken some time off? So getting to know the person in front of me is always really, really important.
You do that very well.
But then you figure out how you can connect with people, the similarities. Oh, Hannah, you've got a dog. Cool. What do you do with your dog? How do you experience this? And the same with customers. Customers want to be seen as people first, I believe, rather than just like dollar signs in your eyes.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I've witnessed you sharing a customer contact detail with me.
Yeah.
And there was an entry on the note that says he has 3 dogs and likes NASCAR or something.
Yeah. Yes.
I go, wow. Okay, so the level of commitment there is something else entirely.
Yeah.
How about you, Han? Well, what are the other non-technical parts that you enjoy?
Other non-technical parts? I actually feel like this is one of those jobs, and I get asked this. I've had a mentee recently ask this question. Is your role challenging? Like it seems stressful. Like, do you get a big target? Like blah blah blah. And my answer to that always is absolutely. It's challenging. Absolutely, we get a big target, and that is hella fun to me. Like it's so competitive. Well, not necessarily competitive, but it's that rush, right? That race. Like, yes, we work in tech, we work in sales, but I think as well, working in such a fast-paced, high risk, high reward, and that's what I enjoy. It's not technical, but it's the feeling. It's the adrenaline dump that you get at the end of a quarter, at the end of a financial year, is actually so hard to describe to someone who doesn't potentially enjoy that feeling or enjoy that level of work. And I think working in a company like this, or working at that sort of that high stakes level, you quickly figure out if it's for you or not, because you do have to handle quite a lot of pressure and a little bit of stress, but I think that's fun. Like that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Like that risk, that rush, that reward, like that is what I enjoy about it.
Nice.
I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I feel like it's proven, I keep proving that to myself by what I go after. I want it to be risky.
That's so true. And not every day is the same.
Yeah.
It's you genuinely learn something new every day. You learn something new about someone, you learn something new about a process, you learn something new about technology, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's not monotonous, or however you say that word. Yeah, it's
a beast.
Constantly varied beast. Yeah.
Yes. And I really like that you mentioned that, Max, because I consider myself an advocate of lifelong learning. And people who are working in our industry have to embrace that persona or idea that when you're working here, one day you're learning about this new technology, next you're learning about this person, and then the business. And like, you said, it's varied. Even from my perspective as an engineer, it's always something new.
100%. The acronyms, every day there is a new acronym. Every single day there is a new announcement. But that's what's fun, right? Like you said, you can't be in this business if you want to wake up every morning and do the exact same thing. Like, I mean, obviously you can, boring. But this is not a boring role. We work in technology, and I feel like we're at such a pivotal point in our in our world at the moment with where technology is going, and we're at a huge, there's a change right now with obviously AI.
Yes,
it's like the dot-com boom.
The dot-com boom, 100%, with quantum computing and all of the, I guess, security risks that presents. But we have to be on top of that. We have to be evangelists. We have to be on the front foot of those changes. So we cannot stay complacent.
That's right. And I agree with you 100%. But, it's not, have to be mindful that it's not always rainbows and butterflies. It's not always, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
So true.
We have to kind of also get people's attention into looking at the not so fun part of it. And one of the things I've been witnessing, and I think this kind of lines up with one of the advocacies that you guys are doing outside of work, is that not only just bringing more attention into women who are working in IT, but also, adding more value into what they should know, what they should be aware of. Like, one of the things is gender-based pay gaps. Is that something that you guys have been, tackling at length?
Not in my role, but as someone who I'm putting out into the universe, hopefully will have kids in the next couple of years, it is a worry with taking time off. It's that with the gender-based pay gap, I would happily take a pay gap, a pay loss, to know that I have raised healthy children, that I have not missed concerts and all this kind of stuff. But it is definitely something that is on some people's minds. And I look at the wonderful women who have given birth in the people we work with, and it's not common knowledge. There's no kind of one-stop shop of, you're going to take time off. These are your benefits. This is what you miss out on. Super is enormous. And there's no kind of hack, as the young kids say these days, to be like, this is what you go through, this is what you miss out on, this is how you can kind of combat that and all that kind of stuff. So, long way of saying gender-based pay gaps, no, not in my role. I trust that my leaders are doing enough with what I'm being compensated for, but I'm obviously in a very privileged position. So, what I'm saying now may not ring true to other people.
I feel like for me, and that's to Maggie's point, and then sort of separate to, I guess, some of the research and the studies when we get those annual reports from our company and from other industries, you can sort of see that disparity. But when you delve into it, the gap is getting bigger, or gets bigger, or is bigger, because of the lack of women in leadership positions.
Right.
So at that end of that large earner scale, there are more men in those positions. So of course there's going to be a gap when they do a survey because women aren't taking those roles. And that's due to a multitude of things, taking time off and having families and choosing to be that primary caregiver, I think, is a key one, because obviously that's setting yourself back potentially compared to a male counterpart on that progression. But also because I think that our leaders don't. I think that the gap is because women aren't being lifted up into those leadership roles. And I'm not just talking about where we are. I'm talking about just in general. In politics is a great example of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't see women getting past a certain point, and I think that is potentially because of that time off, but also because there's not enough support there. There's not enough advocates. There's not enough conversations around it, and I think it just we've hit a ceiling. And I guess that's like where Maggie and I are really passionate about these things or these programs that we kind of drive and run internally, also externally, is to continue that momentum and to continue the trajectory on women early in career all the way up. So we are matching that leadership level. So it's balanced.
Okay.
And you look on LinkedIn, Fred, and when there's a new director announced or a new senior leader announced, in most companies that I have seen, it's a big sausage party. There's not a lot of women there.
Yeah.
Like it's 1 to 20, or you would be rare to have 50% like sex representation on the boards of the senior leaders. Slowly changing, but yeah, as Han said, it's changing the end scale, and that will hopefully mean with people retiring and whatnot, fresh eyes, fresh brains, etc. But it's everywhere. It's not just in tech, it's across the board.
Yeah. Okay. And look, for somebody who's speaking from the other side of the gender fence, tell us more, and our listeners, tell us more about this movement that you started, this advocacy. I know the more obvious one for me, at least, and that's why I asked, was the gender pay gap in the representation. But what else aren't we seeing?
I want to just reframe the movement, because I feel like this, there are some women that have been doing this or charging ahead for a very long time. And I feel like the platform that Maggie and I have and the other women that work with us to kind of keep doing this, I think it has been given to us by circumstance. So the movement has always existed, I think, in our business, but also in a lot of industries. But I think that we're at a really lucky time in our careers, but also in the company that we work for, that they are allowing us for that they're giving us that push, they're giving us that platform. So we can take that movement that has existed, but I think we've got more ammunition or something. Like it feels like we're just taking it to that next level. But I think it's because we're so freaking passionate about it, and we have the support to be passionate and almost given all right, you guys go ahead. Like all the stuff that you're bringing to the table, all of these programs, you have full support. What do you need from us? And like, what else do how else can we kind of get behind this?
Yeah, exactly. All the ambassadors, and it's internal to the company that we work for and external. It's far and wide. So, and
I guess to the question of what got us started, if you will, I think is when we're in a meeting, 9 times out of 10, I'm the only woman in the room. When we have a large gathering of different vendors or different partners in our ecosystem, we might be 1 in 5 women in the room. But I would say in the last couple of years that has slowly started to shift. And I think that is genuinely because it's just becoming more of a more of a thing. Like our goal is to encourage young people studying IT from high school into university or however other pathway they want to choose into a role in technology like earlier. So we don't have to be coming into these roles in our 30s kind of like, we're now knocking on the door for a leadership position. Let's get more interested earlier because that's where the gap is. The gap has always been here, but now we're seeing it still even carrying on to primary school. These girls aren't interested in technology subjects because I don't think they know they can be or they should be or they've got role models or they even really understand because they're not seeing it anywhere, you
can't be what you can't see kind of thing. So got to get in early to change the brain when it's really malleable.
That bit got me curious as well, because why is it that I've also seen that movement happening with getting more women or girls into STEM. Why do you think that is? Was it because a traditionally idea that was traditionally passed on to kids that, okay, if you want to work in engineering, you want to work in technology, it's more of a boys' field? I don't say I subscribe to that idea myself, because technology is technology. It doesn't care what gender or whatever it is that you believe in. If you believe in the technology and you're curious enough. So my question really here is, why has it happened in that way that wanted you guys, or that made you guys want to address it more and amplify that message, basically?
The coming back to the first part of your question, why like the STEM movement has been so big to try and get more women in science, technology. I don't know what E stands for in mathematics. Oh, engineering. But like we've had lovely women who have come through the 4B internship here at Cisco, and they're studying engineering, they're studying cybersecurity, they're studying mathematics. They are some of the most intelligent people I have met. We're surrounded by incredible people that we work alongside with every day. And the comment, if you had a bingo card of the things that they would say about their group projects, about what they do when they sit in lectures, I guarantee you they would say, I'm one of the only females there. I'm the one who has to coordinate all of the stuff for group assignments.
What's up with that?
And in some instances, not all, they don't trust, or I feel as though I am not trusted. My voice is not trusted when I have something to say, when I know I'm right. So that's kind of where this movement, I think, has come from, or I think a passion and a love. Because it's if we don't change it now, how much worse is it going to get? What can I say to my future son or daughter or whatnot to help them challenge? Like, I'm the only female in this room. I know that I'm right. How do I action that? Just like Hannah's mentioned, we're just trying to balance it out because of the ways that we got into the jobs that we're in. There is no one way to get there. There's so many ways. But if you think that you're not worthy because you've got some people in your cohort telling you that, oh, no, you're wrong, or getting you to practically mother them, or like all that kind of stuff. You can't
true.
You can't listen to that voice in your head, because it will stop you progressing at the rate that you can progress. If you're like, you know what, I saw Hannah and Maggie did it, and I knew they would, and it's fantastic that they got there, but they've trodden this path before. How can I help? What's the term, biomaxing or hacking or something? How can I help them hack their next 5 years? Say the thing you don't want to say. If you offend people, like, offense is not given, it's taken. If the men are going to get emotional about it, that's on them. Like, it's you've got to grab your destiny by destiny's balls and run with it.
It's not something you inherit. It's something you grab for yourself. If you
100%.
if you're the right person to grab it, by all means.
Can I just add something to your point about you not buying into that idea that I think IT or technology has a gender, I guess from that young age. I would agree, because you go into a primary school and there's actually a really interesting statistic, and I wish I had it handy, but I can send it to you. I think Terry sent it to me, but it was like a study, like a little graph on primary school age students, like 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. And they're interested in things like robotics or technology, or even just IT, probably, because they're all using computers these days. It slowly changes as they get older, as in the boys' graph keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the girls' stops and then decreases. And I feel like I've thought about this a lot because it's such a good question. I studied robotics and IT when I was in grade 9, and I really enjoyed it. I made little games. I used to do a lot of HTML and a lot of website designs, really passionate about it. And then my school stopped doing that class when you got into senior school. So there was an IT sort of class at that level, but I remember like looking into it and it didn't really speak to me anymore. And I don't know if that was, I loved all of that stuff, but I think whatever that offering was in senior school, it kind of missed the mark for me or whatever. I don't know, I was probably interested in different things. But I think the point is, I don't think, and this is going back a while since I was in school, obviously, but I think that they missed the gap there. I think they assume, or our education system assumes, that girls drop off studying these subjects because of a lack of interest. And boys are better at technical things. Boys are better fixing things. I think men are, of course, brilliant. I think they're wired that way. I absolutely do believe that there's probably more men that figure out earlier that that's what they love doing and they love tinkering. But I think there are just as many women that do, or young girls that do enjoy that I think just get pushed into doing something different because they don't really see what that could look like for them. And I think, we always make the joke when we go and speak to high schoolers, cybersecurity, like, it isn't all dark rooms and a man wearing a hoodie. Like, it isn't all of that, right? That's like, that is a really outdated stereotype that I think still fully exists in everyone's minds. And when we kind of rock up and leading to some of the other stuff that we do on the side, like, we aren't necessarily that stereotype. We don't fit it. But I think that exists. It's still being it's still a narrative that exists. And then when they get to the uni degree and they're choosing to study IT and computer science, when they are the only woman in the room, then what makes them think that when they get a job it's going to be any different? They don't want to go and work in a 95% male-dominated space because it's not that fun. Like, I'm sorry to say, and this is me being really honest, it's just, we're not really creating these environments that a young woman's going to flourish in. If they get a job and they're the only young female engineer, they're going to have a terrible time. Look, they might not. I'm not speaking on behalf of every single woman or
It's
person.
going to be a challenge, though. It's not going to be as smooth sailing as if it was
Correct.
a man.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, can't talk from a man's perspective, but just what I have seen and what I've witnessed, not outside of the company that I work for, but in the industry.
Yeah, it's not always a safe space. It's not always a space where they're heard and their opinion is actually valid. They might end up sitting in the corner and getting to work every single day and not getting anything out of that. And then they leave the industry. Then they go and work, in another company, potentially doing, back office coding when they work from home, because that's not encouraging, that's not welcoming for them.
Right.
I had the same conversation with the Broncos when we talked about First Nations kids.
Yeah.
If we do a program for First Nations kids in IT, I'm not going to take a young 18-year-old girl and put her into a boardroom full of, sorry, but a group of old men. I'm not going to do that because she's not going to get anything of that. But she will probably feel very insecure and weird because that's just not a safe space. We can't look at this sort of trajectory of girls coming into the industry and then not have a safe space ready for them. And that's, I think, we're trying to hit the early in career, we're trying to hit the high schools and the even the primary schools to try to show them that there's not a stereotype, that they can break that stereotype, and that once they get out of that into their uni degree, they will be supported, and that when they finish their degree and they come into a workplace, that there is gender equality and equity there, and that they will then be seen, heard and valued and paid the same.
Yeah.
And they trust their voice too when they say something. It's not, oh, am I overthinking this? They've got this network of people like, oh, hey, Han, hey, Mags, this is happening at work. I'm second guessing. What do you think? And it's kind of big sister-esque, but not. It's networking to open people's network, support them through whatever, like whatever they're going through, and sense check. Because we've all been in rooms where it's like, oh, have I just said something I shouldn't? And no, we haven't. It's just the audience that we have, it just wasn't received well.
No, and it's good too, because now that you mentioned it, I believe part of that movement and that platform that you're advocating for right now, part of that covers mentoring young kids, telling them, this is what I've done. These are the mistakes that I've done myself.
Career maxing or career hacking.
Like
career maxing, right? Everybody needs a mentor, and I 100% support the idea that everybody should get their own mentors. That's something I learned later on in life, and that's the part that you guys have done really well, because you've found that knowledge early on in your career, so you've probably done a lot of great things that I haven't in that same time. But what do you think is what you've been finding a common theme in these conversations, the women that you've talked to, the little girls that they're not so little girls, high school girls that finding themselves for the first time getting into this world? What are some of the common struggles that you've been hearing them talk to you about? With
the club business that Hannah and I co-founded amongst other women, we're very lucky to run a confidence workshop with them. And the feedback that we got from there was, what was it? Like something along the lines of, I didn't know you could do this.
Yeah.
Or I now feel so much more confident in the way that I want to move forward because I was second guessing X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So just planting the seed and watering it to make sure, that they know what they can be and what they can do.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out. The confidence seems to be a common theme.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because when, you ask a 19-year-old the same kind of questions, maybe because of that stage in their lives or stage in a 19-year-old's life. I think confidence is something that is definitely still on the up, like that's what they're building.
Yeah.
And we framed it in a really good way at our workshop, which is confidence isn't a skill that you're just born. Like you don't just walk out of the hospital with a whole heap of confidence. Some people do. Some people are riddled with it.
Like for me, it's worked on every day.
Correct.
Like it's for everyone, it's worked on every day.
A
It's
lot.
such a big element.
I think that's probably the biggest theme that we see is the confidence too. But I don't know, maybe, again, back to the point about I don't know if it's just maybe a thing that you can really highlight when you've sort of just graduated or you're in uni and you're doing this or you got your first job. But it sort of comes to that imposter syndrome, that same vein. And I actually hate talking about this because I feel today, for example, I had a moment where I was like, I refuse to feel that ever again.
Yeah.
But I also think in the same breath that is feeling imposter syndrome is because you're challenging yourself. So it's just fear. That voice is just fear saying you shouldn't do this. Stop. Like you might
Stay safe.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I feel like in one vein, it's like that is a debilitating feeling because
It
it's
is.
trying to protect you. That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, it's like, God, I'm so sick of feeling like, why should I be scared to do this? Why should I feel going into a boardroom that I'm scared? Like I'm so sick of that being a thing. And I think that's what we sort of teach these, up and coming people is that if you feel that feeling, let's talk about how you can get through it with some little tips and tricks that we've learned from some incredible of our, some of the mentors of our own.
Please.
But also, like, let's reframe that from being imposter. You're not an imposter. If you walk into a boardroom full of men, you are not full of men. You are not an imposter. You deserve the seat at the table. And let's do some self-talking to unwind all of the narratives that you've been told or shoved down your throat.
Yeah.
Maybe by the industry, but also just by, being, I think, a woman. Sometimes I think we do carry that because we do have a little bit of a tendency to sit back and step away when it's a dominated space.
Yeah.
I think that's for a very amount of reasons, but I think that's the common theme. It would be confidence, and I definitely feel a little bit of that imposter syndrome. But we handle it, and we are working on our own versions of that, and I feel like that's why it's fun when we're in these rooms, because some of these girls don't even have that yet, and then I don't want to put that in their head.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. It's like, well, let's not talk about imposter syndrome if you don't have any.
Yeah.
Let's keep working on how incredible you are and that you don't need to feel like that.
It's like that video of Run Like a Girl, and there's an age, I think from 7 to 8, where the people from 8 onwards run like they don't run with proper technique, but they from 8 under. There was a video asking this girl, what does it mean to run like a girl? And she was powerful. She was strong. There was no kind of Phoebe Buffet from Friends running like arms prancing, knees out to the side. And I think that's kind of where the precipice of that age group of getting in early high school, late primary school of be woman in tech. What does that mean?
Yeah,
It means
yeah.
powerful. It can mean sneakers. It can mean heels. It can mean coding. It can mean sales. It can mean technology. So it's kind of, I think it's really much like that video. Keep being the 8-year-old throughout your whole career. Don't just because someone else says it doesn't mean that it's true. You can acknowledge it and like, yeah, cool, that's your opinion, and keep being a powerful woman in tech or running like a girl, strong, fast, agile, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And it sounds to me like it's more of a nurture challenge, right? Not really a nature challenge.
Yeah, and like from what Han was saying, I was just thinking, going back through when I was at high school, only a few years ago because I'm 24, obviously. Is I wonder how much the teacher's passion showed, and when women start dropping off, does a school drop it, or is the teacher not passionate about it?
Yeah, what do they do about that?
Is it just like, okay, this is how you touch type, this is how you code, there's no excitement or love or, guys, this is what you can do, this is what I did with Claudette on the weekend with AI and coding. Claudette is Claude. Everything needs a female name in my opinion, so rebranding to Claudette. But yeah, what is the passion for it from the people who are teaching it? Because I guarantee you, back in high school, when I had a boring teacher, I wasn't listening. I was being a little turd bag in the back.
Sure.
Like I needed someone who was engaged and exciting, and therefore I was like, oh, if they're engaged and excited, why should I not be engaged and excited?
Absolutely.
And also, again, it's like that stereotype. Remember in high school, primary school, when you go and have these career open days, or all that comes to mind is seeing like the AMBOs or like the police force or the fire brigade, and you'd sort of
Harold.
Harold.
Yeah,
Like
the
there's
giraffe.
things that come and they do things at your school, but you'd see these fireys and you'd be like, whoa. Like, that would be so cool. Like, when you're a kid, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be something crazy, because I think we see it all the time. We see how great it is. And, of course, 90% of those examples historically have been of males in those roles. And also, I sent you that amazing video where the kids write down, they draw the fireman or the police person or whatever, and they all draw men. And then the women come out, and they're like, it's like a neurosurgeon, she's a fire person. Anyway, but they're all women of what the kids assumed would be men.
Wow.
And it was literally mind-blowing. I'll have to send that to you as well. But I think in those things, it's like we don't see, fun, engaging conversations about IT. We never saw that. I didn't see that. We didn't have people coming to our school going, hey, did you guys know that you can blah 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 like in this industry, we didn't see that was a potential. We talked about being a lawyer or being a doctor or being an engineer, all fantastic, incredible careers.
Correct.
But I just feel like we didn't really get the hype. It was like, back to your point, nature or nurture, I would say lack of marketing. Like where has this been? Why have we not pitched this? Like it's a sales conversation. Let's sell this industry to our future generation, because I just feel like we've missed the ball there.
I've always wondered about that. It's funny you mentioned that, because I've always thought, when you ask kids what they want to be, like you go to prep or year one, those kids, you ask those kids what they want to be when they grow up.
So cute, with a uniform.
I have. You've seen my little one. He's very vocal, but if you ask him what he wants to do, one day he wants to be. He actually said he wants to be a garbo one time.
Legend.
He wanted
Such a boy thing.
He wanted to drive a race car.
Love that.
But none in that. All those times I've been asking him, nobody, and I've never seen anyone say, I want to work in IT when I grow up.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, I think there's a gap there that needs to be addressed, and I think part of that conversation and mentorship, you guys are doing a good job of getting that exposure, and you guys are doing the marketing. So
Fred, you've just given me an idea. I wonder, because my brothers also went through the Garbo stage. They were so excited when the Garbo came. They'd sit there and wave to him and all that kind of stuff. But I look back at the books they read. We could all start a book of challenging, these are the careers you could be, and have women in the middle of it. Because it's a fireman Sam, postman Pat.
Yeah.
Bob the Builder.
Honestly, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is back to the nurture and nature, because it's just written. It was written somewhere long ago that it was gender stereotype for a while.
Okay.
That was the way it was. Obviously, and this isn't. I really don't ever want to kind of get on a man-hating agenda. That is definitely not the intention here. There are roles and there are people suited for the job. But I feel like as a kid, when you are in that grade 3 stage and you are the fastest girl and you're the fastest runner on your team, it's like, when did we stop nurturing that? And when did we stop encouraging young girls and young boys to think differently? Because I feel like we've just done it the same way this whole time.
Yeah.
Because we've not really had the platform to talk about it as much. Because I think it's just been built, society's been built in this way. The patriarchy is this way. So we just have to keep living it. And I feel like that's what's so fun about rattling this cage a little bit.
Right.
And maybe some people get sick of it. I don't care, because we're going to keep talking about it until the cows come home. Until I can go into a school and I feel like it's changing, until there's another generation that comes through where they felt heard in their classes. And I feel like it goes for both genders, all genders, men and women, whoever. I feel like we don't have to live in this little cage that we have sort of been shown our whole lives.
Yeah, and it's good that you say that, because lately I have noticed the textbooks and the storybooks, they haven't fully evolved, but they have changed to be more conscious about those stereotypes that have been passed on from the last century.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. I mean, sometimes we tend to overcorrect, which is a very human thing to do.
Yeah.
But then again, let's not force it down their throats, right? Let's just tell them, look, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to be an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor, but take the picture away from your head that it's just a purely a man thing.
Take the stereotypes away.
Yeah.
That's all we ask for.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have to overly correct this or dramatically make this entire industry shift, but it's like, let's take away some of those stereotypes. Let's create a safer space.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we'll find that happy balance.
Yes.
Because we're not here to, it's like a hard line.
And it takes time. And like on the stereotype side, I can tell a story of when I went to a meeting and I was asked, are you just the account manager, or are you here to take notes? And I was like, no, I can
Should have gone, I'm the engineer.
Yeah, I was like, I can talk technical. Do you want to talk security? Like, what do you want to do? You want to talk a little bit about data center? And the look on this person's face is like, oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, what? Would you ask your loved one that same question? So I think that kind of just shows that the assumptions and the stereotypes are still there.
Oh, 100%.
Slowly changing, but it's something that I think we live with every day, and we've got a plethora of stories of what that looks like. But it's changing the stereotype young needs to happen, especially if we're trying to plant the seed young in late primary school, high school, for what IT looks like.
Tell you what, if I did ask that question, I'd probably be sleeping in the couch that night.
Yes, Cal's a girl's girl. We love that.
But, tell me something. With this platform, and you guys are amplifying the message really well. Tell me, what do you count as a win for this advocacy?
That was part one of Nerd's Take on Humanity, Women in IT. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Make sure to keep an eye out for the next part. It's going to be fun, I promise you. And until then, hope to see you next time.